person is insulin dependent. So that is why earlier we used to call insulin dependent diabetes mellitus. Type 1 diabetes mellitus earlier was used to call insulin dependent. Now with certain other managements, we are still able to help type 1 diabetic patients for a smaller period of duration of time without the help of insulin, but eventually they will all end up taking insulin. If you compare it to type 2 diabetes is gradual loss of insulin, or getting faulty insulins being produced in the body. Faulty insulin means the quality of insulin is now reliable. That insulin, that the molecule of the insulin which was needed earlier to open the gate of the cells so that glucose could enter into the cell. Now that quality insulin is there, but the quality is not good enough, so it doesn't do its job. So in type 2 diabetes, the gradual loss of insulin production happens due to various reasons. We all know that those reasons we can discuss again as well. So it doesn't happen at once. Like in type 1 diabetes, one day suddenly you'll realize that you're going into hypoglycemia, or you have so much of glucose in the blood, you fall down, you become unconscious. Maybe when it happens, when a child is school going child, so most of the cases parent get a call from the school that your child is not behaving, normally. There is some issue with him, he's irritated, or he's sweating too much, or he's getting dizzy, something like that. So then when evaluated, the child most of the time has type 1 diabetes. So type 1 diabetes happens early in the age. Type 2 diabetes is elderly diabetes.
Volume.
So it used to be elderly diabetes though. Type 2 diabetes used to happen when somebody hit 40 45. If we go 20 years back, after 50 retirement की age पे इसको बोला जाता था type 2 diabetes होता. But nowadays, with the lifestyle changes, it can happen to anybody. It can happen at 30 35, especially males. Once they hit their 30 age, then they are at risk of getting type 2 diabetes. So type 2 diabetes happen later in the age. Type 1 diabetes happen earlier. Type 1 diabetes completely insulin dependent. Type 2 diabetes can be managed with OHs, oral hypoglycemic drugs, till the time they work, and then maybe eventually type 2 diabetes वाले को भी insulin लेना पड़ सकता है. So this is a basic difference. So at both the cases, somewhere during the duration of the condition, pancreas will end up losing all its insulin producing cells. So somewhere may in type 2 diabetes, maybe at very later stage, once you hit 75 80, then you have to take insulin to regulate glucose metabolism. uh, at some point of time you will end up taking insulin, because the body has totally lost its ability to produce insulin. But in type 1 diabetes, it just happened very early, and then throughout the life you have to take insulin. So that is the basic difference. So I will keep it very open today. I'll not take a particular topic, though I would like to discuss skin manifestations that can happen to a diabetic patient. That I'll just speak in between when somebody asks a skin related question, if at all. Otherwise, it's open session today. You can ask all your question and queries to me. One word.
Siddharth bhai,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please.
Siddharth, what is the levels of random sugar and post-peridial sugar intake का range जो है, does it vary with age also? Or
Absolutely. Absolutely. It varies. So if I have to cut off somebody throughout a journey into two parts, I would say that 50 years of age, prior to 50 years of age, I'll have different range for a person, and once they hit above 50, I'll have a different age range for them. So in books you might not find like that, but if you study the recent articles and journals, you'll see these changes. You'll see these recent different ranges depending upon the age. So if somebody is prior to 50, 40, for between 40 and 50, or maybe 30 and 50, the postprandial sugar, that is 2 hours after we eat a meal, has to be less than 140. So if you want to, if I have to classify somebody non-diabetic, then their postprandial sugar has to be less than 140. And if I have to label somebody as a diabetic, then their random sugar, one random sugar has to be more than 200, right? And HbA1c has to be more than 6.5. Fasting sugar has to be more than 126. So these are the targets that I'll set for somebody who is less than 50, because I want to control it very tightly. So that something is called tight control of diabetes. That means you keep your blood sugar levels close to a non-diabetic person. Levels, our levels should be close to the levels of a non-diabetic individual. So before 50, if somebody get diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, I'll keep their targets very tightly so that the macrovascular complication does not start early, and the progression and delay, we have, the progression of such complications we can delay. But if somebody is above 50, 60, 70, then the pros and cons of hyper and hypoglycemia are different. So in elderly patient, the hypoglycemia is much more dangerous than hyperglycemia. So for those individuals, for those elders, we'll just increase our range of blood glucose at any given point of time. So if I say your fasting sugar should be less than 100, if you are like 40 years age, I'll keep it. I'll make a target that it should be 100 or less than 100. But in elderly patient, depending upon the decade of their age, if it is 50 to 60, 100 to 110 is acceptable. 60 to 70, somewhere between 110 and 120 is also acceptable. Because in such elderly patient, if it goes less than 100, that means your vital organs will not get the nourishment that they need. And at that age, there are other multiple comorbidities that happens with diabetes, like hypertension, like dyslipidemia, thyroid problem. So body is already fighting with a lot of other conditions, and body needs energy to fight. So I would be okay if your sugar is bit high, but I'll not be okay if it goes low, because low sugar is dangerous in elderly. So similarly, the range of HbA1c uh, for people, young people, it should be between somewhere 6.5 to 6.8. But elderly people who are especially in 80s, it is acceptable up to 7.5. So depending upon the range, as the age increases, your range gives you a flexibility to maintain your sugar. So that is there. Don't worry if you're 60, your fasting is 100, 110. Don't worry, it is absolutely normal. You don't have to decrease it
That
fasting.
I'll ask you a personal question. My random sugar is 126, and sometimes the postperidial maybe 180 or 200. I have no hereditary diabetes problem, both my father and mother, and I don't take any medicine for no insulin at all. I have accepted a challenge from the doctor that I'll improve it by not eating sugar and controlling my tongue. Is it necessary for me to take insulin? Or
Absolutely not. Your sugar levels are fine. So see,
I'm very
insulin insulin is only indicated when other methods or other managements are not working. So if by virtue of eating healthy diet, doing good routine, disciplined physical activity, and taking OHS that your doctor has prescribed, if your sugar is within the target range that the doctor has set for your age, then absolutely fine. You don't have to even think about insulin now. So random sugar 120. So generally the meal gap between the time between two meals at your age, I would say 5 or 6 hours.
right.
Yeah. So anywhere random sugar is, you check your blood sugar at any given point of time, right? So if it is post-prandial, like 1 hour or 2 hour after eating, then
जी,
to you know your limits. But after that 3 or 4 or 5 hour, I would say you keep it somewhere 130. 120 is still low. So your sugar is not high, it's low. So
right.
yeah. So that is why that the 6 hour gap, you need to include a snack time in between that gap. So after 3 hours or 4 hours, you can have a
Small
small
meal.
snack.
Dr. Saab, also if people are taking insulin, does not absolve them from eating sugar. So I keep on telling them that you're taking insulin to control your sugar by your diet and exercise. But that does not permit you कि आप रसगुल्ला खाने लगे उसके बाद कि हम दवाई खाते हैं. So,
Yeah, so see, this is a very debatable topic. Many people or many doctor have different opinion about it.
जी,
The best management, I would say, is an individual specific management. So person to person it varies.
right,
So if you are able to eat sugar and while managing the way you manage it, you are able to keep your sugar levels uh, in the range specified to you, then absolutely fine. Nobody will ask you to stop it. But
thank
there
you.
are many people who will take this as a reference point and then start eating, but they are not able to do other activities, and in that case the sugar level will go up, and they will ask कि वो तो फलाना आदमी तो खाता है उसका तो नहीं बढ़ता मेरे खाने से बढ़ जाता.
Right,
So that this has to be very individual specific. You should know what works for you.
right,
So absolutely, sugar is not not the doctor will say कि absolutely you avoid sugar. Even I when some patient come to me, I would say कि definitely once or twice a week you should eat what you like.
right.
You should have a piece of cake or have a piece of chocolate or have a piece of mithai that you want. Keep it a piece only, so that you enjoy it. Don't stop yourself from enjoying these things, because we live to eat. That is very one primal basic and requirement need of ours that we live for. So we can't just stop ourselves from eating it, but we should know what works for us, which sweet or which form of sugary food that I eat which makes my sugar go up. So you just avoid that. There are different form of sweets also. Some has higher content of calories, some are mild content, some are mild content.
Right.
Yeah.
Dr. Saab, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Doctor,
Yeah.
okay.
My question is,
Okay, Mona ji, I'll just come after Kanal.
Okay, okay.
डॉक्टर साहब माय क्वेश्चन इज कि मेरा जो फास्टिंग का जो शुगर है वो रेंज से ऊपर है, और जो उसके बाद मैं पीपी लेता हूँ या रैंडम लेता हूँ वो विद इन दी नॉर्मल रेंज है. आई जस्ट वांट टू नो द रीजन कि सुबह का जो फास्टिंग वाला होता है, एज इट दैट प्रॉब्ली आई टेक मोर ऑफ शुगरी आइटम्स इन द इवनिंग, चाय पे ले लिया या रात को खाने पे ले लिया. क्योंकि अगर मेरा पीपी बिल्कुल ठीक चल रहा है और रैंडम भी ठीक आता है, तो आई डू नॉट नो व्हाई फास्टिंग वाला जो है ये रेंज से ऊपर चले जाता है. इट गोज मोर देन टाइम्स 130 आल्सो. तो
That's a very good question, Kanalpuri. Very important question. Many times people wonder that their daytime sugars are fine, but when they wake up, their sugars are high. So what we need to understand is that how the cycle works actually. So the diabetic medicine that we eat in the day, after breakfast or before breakfast or during the day, that medicine works throughout the day. And the medicine that I eat at night, dinner time, that takes care of my night sugar, and the efficiency of that medicine will reflect in fasting sugar. So the sugar that I check at the fasting time, it reflects how my medicine is working at night time, and how the meal that I was having, what content of the meal worked for me or didn't work for me, that I had at dinner. Because in the daytime, along with medicine, you're doing certain physical activity also. So you're taking medicine, but you're also active. you're going for a walk, you're doing multiple things, you're using your brain also, because to do some activity you need your brain, and brain needs calories, so you burn calories that way also. But at night you eat, you take medicine, and for 7 8 hours you do nothing, you just sleep. So you take that factor out of that. So now it is the highly likely that your sugar might come up a little bit high in the morning. So that way you need to adjust your dosage of OHAs at night. So that is why that what you do is you check 6 days continuously your fasting sugars, and then you check that continuously 6 days how my sugars are, कितना रेंज से बाहर जा रहा है, रेंज में है या रेंज से कम है. Depending upon that, either you increase your dosage of medicine or you decrease your food content quantity. So just modulation, doing some modulation in those two particular
Hello.
You can control your sugar.
But doctor, I don't take any diabetic medicine.
Okay.
बहुत अच्छा.
हाँ, डायबिटिक की कोई मेडिसिन नहीं मैं ले रहा हूँ बिल्कुल.
Don't worry, then 130 is absolutely fine for you. Don't worry about it.
अच्छा अच्छा. और मतलब खाने पीने में कुछ कंट्रोल करना चाहिए कि रात को शुगर जो है थोड़ा.
Absolutely, sir. Night time your carbs should be low. If you want a good meal at night, it should comprise of fibers and proteins mostly.
तो मतलब आइसक्रीम खानी बंद कर दूं, लिकर ड्रिंक बंद कर दूं.
दिन में खाइए, दूसरों को खिलाइए.
सर वो 130 से 110 आ जाएगा if you just stop your drink at night.
अच्छा. और ये चाय जो शाम को पीनी है वो तो पी सकते हैं.
Absolutely.
अच्छा, थैंक यू सर. जैसे आपने बोला वो टेस्ट तो अपना वन शुड नॉट डिप्राइव ऑफ, तो वी विल कंटिन्यू विद आवर टेस्ट और आपसे एडवाइस लेते रहेंगे और ठीक करते रहेंगे अपने आप. थैंक यू सर.
Yes. The important thing is that you monitor it regularly. So when we talk about management, for me the most important part of management is monitoring. So if I don't monitor it regularly, I will be in a totally blind state whether my management, be it lifestyle modification or medical management, is working or not. So with diabetic patient, a constant need of a change or improvement is needed. So that only happens when I know what's happening inside my body. So you just keep it checking regularly. For people who are having it under control, they just need to check it twice a week. For people in those its fluctuation is more often, they can check it thrice a week. Sorry. Yes, Mona.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, good morning. Good afternoon. Good morning. तो बात हम आपको पहले बता चुके हैं कि हम अपना शुगर जो है हम सुनाई. कैन यू हियर मी?
बिल्कुल.
अच्छा, तो हम बता रहे थे कि हम तो अपना अकॉर्डिंगली कंट्रोल करते रहते हैं, मॉनिटर करके, और उसी हिसाब से हम अपना खाना पीना रखते हैं. मगर एक बात हम पूछना चाहते हैं कि हमको बिल्कुल भी भूख नहीं लगती है. आई जस्ट ईट फॉर द सेक ऑफ ईटिंग, है ना डॉक्टर साहब? सुन रहे हैं?
यस.
अच्छा, और फिर भूख नहीं लगती. दूसरी बात, हमारे रात में पूरे होंठ ऐसे चिपक जाते हैं जैसे कि ग्लू लगा दिया, और बिल्कुल मतलब बहुत सूखते हैं होंठ. पानी तो बीच रात में पीते हैं पर बहुत ज्यादा होंठ सूखते हैं, क्योंकि हमें समझ में नहीं आ रहा क्यों.
शुगर्स कैसी हैं आपकी मैम?
जी, शुगर हमारी वही 110 और 90 ऐसा सुबह रहती है खाली पेट, और खाने के बाद हमारे कभी कभी 160 170, और बहुत जब हम किसी दिन बहुत वरीड रहते हैं या कुछ सोचते ज्यादा हमारी 200 के ऊपर भी चली जाती है. एक दिन 280 हो गई तो हम बहुत परेशान. हमने डॉक्टर को फोन किया तो उन्होंने कहा कि शाम की मेडिसिन मत खाओ, खाओ डबल खाओ. एक और उन्होंने 2 गोली बता दी. तो हमने कहा ठीक है. फिर हमने क्या किया, अपने ड्राइंग रूम में हम खूब वॉक किया 20-25 मिनट. आफ्टर दैट आई चेक्ड, इट वाज 160, 280 से इतना कम हो गया. तब फिर डॉक्टर ने कहा नहीं, डोंट एक्स्ट्रा मेडिसिन. और उन्होंने कहा जब भी तुम्हें कम लगने लगती है तो तुम मेडिसिन मत खाओ शाम को, रात वाली. तो ऐसे होता रहता. हम यही फ्लक्चुएट बहुत है.
आप इंसुलिन तो नहीं ले रहे ना? इंसुलिन तो नहीं ले रहे हो ना आप?
इंसुलिन नहीं, वो ज़ीटेन 20 और ग्लूकोनॉम 500 ये लेते मॉर्निंग में, और शाम को ग्लूकोनॉम और एक और है, कोई याद नहीं आ रहा नाम, तो 2 रात में भी 2 लेते, 2 मेडिसिन।
कित-
और
कितने साल से है मैम आपको डायबिटीज?
10 तो हो ही गए मेरा ख्याल है।
So by now
Retirement-
we should know why it fluctuates, ma'am.
हाँ, ये क्यों आप बताइए।
Yes. So fluctuation के reason बहुत सारे होते हैं, मैम. See,
जी
especially in female,
जी
uh, the adherence to physical activity is
अच्छा
some days a lot and some days
या
nil.
एग्जैक्टली
So I
जी
don't want to be sexist that we say in modern
हाँ,
term, but there are a lot of things that happens on mood, especially in females.
जी जी
So the mood dependency is a lot when it comes to follow a disciplinary routine.
जी
So
जी
some days you might be exercising for over an hour, but some days you might not. So
अच्छा
yeah, you can tell better if that happens to you or not. So I'm just overall generically giving you an advice.
जी
So
जी
so that routine has to be a permanent one and has to be daily routine to maintain it on in a constant range. So I was there, just like I was telling earlier, the fluctuation in a diabetic patient are there all the time. So only when I was telling ki monitor karna bahut zaruri hai, only when you monitor you come to know it's high or low. So fluctuation happens because of multiple reasons. Someday you might eat from outside, someday you might not exercise. Uh, the last time, when was the last time your diabetic medicine was changed or dosage was changed?
about more than 6 months.
Yeah. So frequent medicine adjustment has to happen. So you'll notice that many a times a person is taking the same medicine for many years.
अच्छा
But that is
जी
not the ideal way to take medicine. You have to go back to your doctor every 6 months or in a year and make sure that the medicine you are taking are working or not. So there are n number of nowadays there are
हर 3
yes ma'am.
every 3 months she gets my test done, सब आँख से लेकर पैर, हर चीज, blood and everything, urine and all, and everything is fine with me, बस थोड़ा यूरिन में एल्ब्यूमिन कम है, मेरा प्रॉब्लम
कम है.
पता नहीं मुंह क्यों सूखता, बहुत डिफिकल्ट हो
Yeah,
जाता
I'm
है।
coming to that one. So
Yeah.
when these fluctuation happens, that impacts your overall control of blood sugar levels.
अच्छा
Right. So if every week there are 2 to 3 fluctuations, that means my 3 month sugar will not be right. It might reflect good, but overall it's not right. So that can cause those complications that are associated with diabetes, neuropathy,
अच्छा
and the vascular disease. And with the kidney involvement, you will notice that you're going to pass urine a lot of times. So it just basically takes water out of your cells. When there are
अच्छा
high glucose in the blood, it acts as the higher osmolarity thing. It sucks out the water from the cells, and we feel, and it comes out as a nocturnal micturition. So that means the glucose is sucking out the water from your cells, and that makes you thirsty. And the symptom and sign of being thirsty is that you get dry mouth or dry throat. It
अच्छा
can also indicate that your salivary glands might be impacted. They are not producing enough of saliva. But
ओके
if it happens when you wake up, that usually indicates towards high blood sugar related dehydration. So
ओके
that is a cause of dehydration. That
and
is a
night
sign of dehydration.
at about 3 or 4 o'clock every day I get up,
Why
and
do you feel ghabrahat or something at 3 a.m.?
not घबराहट but नींद चली जाती है, मगर
That's
बुढ़ापे
what I
में तो
wanted to tell you. Please check your blood sugar level at 3 a.m., 2 or 3 a.m. whenever you get
at
up.
3 yeah I sometimes many times it is less
Yes,
than
yes, yes,
normal.
yes. So this is a phenomena that happens that during after the medicine effect goes weans off after 6 or 8 hours, we end up with low blood sugar, and then rebound happens. And if I check at 6 or 7 a.m., my sugar will be high, but at the same night at 3 a.m. my sugar will be low. So there is a phenomena when we study in diabetes that many people will see hypoglycemia midnight sorry at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. at night in the early morning. So whenever you wake up 3 a.m. 3 बजे या 2 बजे if you suddenly get up you feel थोड़ा सा घबराहट palpitation sweating, always go check your blood sugar levels. There is a highly chance that it is low. So
जी
just make sure that when you go to sleep you keep a glass of water and something to eat nearby your bed. So
I
in
do.
case in emergency you have to get up, just eat that. So that is there. So that can also again cause dry mouth in the morning.
अच्छा
Yeah,
ओके.
yeah. So just make sure that you drink enough adequate amount of fluid during the day. If the kidneys are involved, then we need to evaluate your kidney status as well.
ओके थैंक यू डॉक्टर. थैंक यू.
सुरेंद्र जी म्यूट है आप. मैं कर रहा हूँ. हाँ जी सर.
हाँ, मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि आपने शुरू में स्टेटमेंट दिया था कि इवन टाइप 2 डायबिटिक्स आल्सो normally end up taking insulin at higher age, maybe more than 80 or something like that. मुझे खुशी है कि मेरे साथ में 2 और कोलीग्स, सीनियर कोलीग्स ने अभी आपको बताया कि that they are not taking even medicine and their sugar is under control. And I am joining them. Of course, I am taking medicine and sugar is under control. And one of my doctor told me that seeing your lifestyle, etc., because I asked him, will a time will come when I'll have to go on taking insulin? He said, in your case, it is not. It will never come because your lifestyle you are maintaining, and you will never have to take insulin. So earlier statement you made that as per the medical advice, type 2 diabetics also end up taking insulin because ultimately their pancreas stop making the insulin.
Right.
So in this case, you have got 3 patients with you today who I hope will not end up taking insulin.
I definitely hope
Comments
so,
on
sir.
this.
I definitely hope so, sir, that nobody end up with insulin. But we have a different level of understanding when it comes to insulin. So, number one, we have to understand that insulin is not at all bad for us. So, insulin, although is a taboo, when we say that we are taking insulin, many people think that everything has now stopped working. That is why I'm on insulin. So now the next stage is gone. So after insulin, there is nothing left. So I have already approached the end stage. So that is taboo that we need to understand, get ourselves aware of. That there is nothing, like I said in previous session also, there is nothing like insulin. So there is no better treatment of the diabetes than insulin. Why? Because our body is not producing enough insulin, or it is producing faulty insulin. And what's better than replacing it with the same insulin? So if I just give it from outside the same insulin, that means I have just complete the requirement in the body. My body does not require metformin. My body does not require sulfonylurea. My body does not require other medicines. My body requires insulin. So if I'm taking insulin, then wow, this is the best thing I can do. The only problem is that awareness is not there, and also it comes in injectable form. We don't want to inject ourselves daily. The day insulin comes in a tablet form, the first line of choice, the first choice of treatment would be the tablet insulin. There are risks that are associated with insulin. That is why people don't go with insulin. One, it is injectable. People might inject it wrongly and does not get the effect, desirable effect. Second thing is that insulin dosage needs constant adjustment. It can cause you hypoglycemia, which is very severe condition, especially in elderly. So insulin requires monitoring. Insulin requires a person with you who can, take care of you while you take insulin. That is why many people are fearful of insulin. But the point that you have raised, that not all people end up with insulin. You give an example of two elderly gentlemen. I want to make a remark here that there's still a lot of life to live for all of you. So maybe another 20 years, 30 years are there to live, maybe more. So at this point of time, to comment that they are elder and they have not required insulin is not right statement to make, because in my eyes you are still young, so there are another many years to go. And maybe when we say that we end up with insulin, doesn't mean you'll be taking insulin for 10 years, 20 years. You'll see that a person age naturally. Let's say I want to live 100 years of age. I very well managed my diabetic duration up to 95, and the last 5 years of my age, I end up taking insulin. So that is what I meant when I said somebody will end up taking insulin. It doesn't mean that you need it right now. It doesn't mean that आप 60 साल के 70 साल के आपको insulin लगनी ही लगनी. It doesn't mean that. You can very well do all other management techniques and take care of your body and does not require insulin. Maybe when you are hitting 85, 90 and you are not able to do physical activity. Right now, you are all able to do your physical activity. You are all able to walk. You are all able to control the food choices. But after 10 years, maybe it is not in your hand. Then you are not able to go out. You're not able to walk. Then you have to take insulin. So that is what I meant that people will end up taking insulin.
That what is stress diabetes?
Yeah. So the issue that is associated with elders in general is that there comes a stage when you'll not be able to do as much of physical activity that you needed to control your blood sugar level. So then it is a boom that we have an alternate for that. So the study is not about you and me. The study is overall elderly people. So and the study doesn't state any cutoff of age that after this age you'll have to have taken insulin. It can be 80 years for you. It can be 70 for you. It can be 50 for somebody. It can be 100 for somebody. So it will vary person to person. It is very specific. So, and number two, don't worry about insulin, sir. Insulin is the best thing. If I get diabetes, which is very likely because my lifestyle is as such that I have to sit for longer hours, and my grandfather had diabetes. So if I end up with diabetes, I'll definitely take insulin from day one. I'll not go with.
आपका कहना है कि don't deprive yourself of good things and take insulin.
If only you can manage it. If you have the right support system with you, and I hope by the time I get diabetes, there is a tablet form of insulin that I can.
और डॉक्टर साहब, एक यूरिन टेस्ट होता है, तो यूरिन टेस्ट के बीच में शुगर का कभी कहते हैं कि थोड़ा सा शुगर है या समथिंग थोड़ा ज्यादा है, तो वो क्या इंडिकेट करता है कि दैट यू मस्ट मॉनिटर योर मतलब ब्लड शुगर लेवल और समथिंग, और probably it is considered that you are a diabetic?
Okay, so normally your urine should not have sugar. Sugar is a very important precious component, or it's like a currency that your body does not want to lose. So urine usually have all the waste toxins. So it is a waste that our body does not need in the body, it excretes. But sugar is the most precious thing. It is the currency. It is the thing that we work, we live for. So our body by nature does not want to lose it. So if you see sugar in your urine, that means number one, the blood has higher sugar than normal. So body has already enough sugar. It is too much. Body wants to excrete it. That I don't want this much also. And number two, there might be some issue with the kidney. The filtration process is not up to the mark. Now the sugars are able to filter out of kidney vessels and coming out in urine. So if the urine is more than the range that is mentioned there, that means in one you have high blood glucose. Number two, it could be kidney related problem. Yes, Surinder ji.
By the time you get sugar, hopefully you will not get, but by the time you will get insulin. Why don't you give us hope that before we need, I mean the 3 persons I have talked of, when we need insulin, by that time scientists will come out with the insulin.
I just hope you don't need it at all. I just hope that by 100 you'll be running marathon. So I'll hope that.
साइंटिस्ट ने अभी तक कोरोना का वैक्सीन नहीं ढूंढा, अभी उसका क्या ढूंढेंगे?
See sir, diabetes जो है ना, it's in pharma market, it is like top earning for them. So and then insulin is one such component that they want that it should come in a tablet form. So there are a lot of research going on in that. The only issue is that insulin it gets absorbed very fast when we take it. No? So if we take it by oral way, it will get absorbed very fast, and then we'll end up having hypoglycemia. That is why it is not given by intramuscular. It is not given by IV normally. It is given in a subcutaneous tissue, fat tissue, so that we intentionally make the absorption of insulin a slow process. So slowly it gets released, slowly it goes to your blood sugar level, and then it starts doing its work. So the problem with oral medicine, if I take insulin orally, it will absorb immediately. So I'll end up glycemia. So maybe with it they'll come up with some solution for that.
डॉक्टर साहब, एक चीज मैंने कल भी थोड़ा सा आपसे डिस्कस किया था.
Yes sir, please.
A person who is a diabetic because he has diabetes and he is taking medicine. So is it essential that he will have effect on his organs even if he is constantly maintaining the sugar levels within the limits? Even then it is possible that these sugar levels will also harm the other organs of the body?
No sir. If I have to take a very strict example, let's say you were diagnosed at the age of 50, for example. So what does it mean? Number one, let's go through this journey. So what does it mean when you get diagnosed at 50? It means the diabetes started at the age of 45. So it went from normal to pre-diabetic to diabetic, and it took some years for it to become diabetic from normal. So it already started few years back. So certain complication has started earlier. By the time you get to know it, there is some abnormality started, which might not be reflected in the normal testing, because the test pick up when something abnormal happens to your body. It might be in the intermediate stage. Then you got diagnosed, then you came to know about your diabetes, then you decided ki now I will bring it to the normal levels. I'll not let it be at this stage where the diabetic range is. So you start all your exercise, you start eating good food, you start taking good medicine, and for next 20 years, from 50 to 70, every 3 months, every 6 months, you checked your sugar levels, and it was always in normal range. This is the ideal case scenario, which very rarely happens with somebody, right? For 20 years, you never let it go up. In that case scenario, sir, no, you will not end up with diabetic complications. So you might end up with a heart attack, which because of somebody because of some other reason, because people who don't have diabetes, they also get heart attack. People who don't have diabetes, they also get stroke. People who don't have diabetes also get kidney problems. So the reason for that heart attack or stroke might be different. But since you have diabetes, people might try to relate it to diabetes, but it could be different reason for altogether. But the issue is, it doesn't happen in real life. So I don't know when you became serious about your diabetes, but many a times that we see in our practice, people tend to lose their focus. So initially when they get diabetes, they get very serious. Oh, क्या हो गया मेरे को, इतनी बड़ी बीमारी होगी, I'll do, कल से तो मैं ये खाना बंद, ये खाना बंद हो. So it goes very nicely for a year or so, and when they see the consistent control in their diabetes for a couple of months, then they lose their focus. So maybe for another 6 months it goes for a toss, and then you again see it, realize कि अब तो बढ़ गया, नहीं, I have to go back to my previous routine. Then you start following your previous routine. Another 1 year you maintain it very nicely, then you lose your control for whatever reason, because there are constant things happening in our life as well. There's something happening in family, some stress, something related to your job, something other, then you tend to lose your focus. So in an ideal scenario, it is very difficult to maintain it throughout life, ideally, properly. But yes, if you have maintained it, then the problems that you are having, it might not later to diabetes, might be something else then.
डॉक्टर साहब एक और जनरल क्वेश्चन था, दैट इज ये जो वैक्सीन बनते हैं या व्हाटएवर मेडिसिन्स आर देयर, जो क्लिनिकली पहले ट्राई करते हैं और तब अप्रूवल होता है और तब मार्केट में आती हैं दवाइयां फॉर जनरल यूज, तो उसका क्या नॉर्म होता है? कितने परसेंटेज पर ये अप्रूवल देते हैं? 80%, 90%, और अनलेस इट इज 100% रिजल्ट, ओनली देन अप्रूवल इज गिवन?
I don't know exactly the percentage thing, sir, but the thing is, there are two things to be noted when you do trials of a particular drug. Number one, the efficacy of the drug for that condition it is being developed. How much is the efficacy? It is 80% efficacy, 90%, more than 95%. We want it above 90%. Number two, if I'm taking that vaccine, what are side effects I'm getting? Am I getting very serious side effects? Is the side effects are very life-threatening, or I'm getting very common side effects? If side effects are very severe, then it will not come to the market. If side effects are acceptable side effects compared to the pros and cons of that particular condition, then they might get approval. I don't know exact percentage. I'll just check and come back to you on that.
No, only thing is exact percentage is not required. My question is slightly different. Next question, that even if it is 95% or 90%, I think it is not always 100%. Is that right? It is not always 100%.
It can never be 100% because body to body, the reaction of body towards a particular drug is different. Yeah, so
exactly. Here is my question. Next question is, when a drug is say 90% effective, it is effective on 90% out of 100. On 10%, it is not effective due to whatever reason. But normally what happens is, if that drug is given to a person, the effect is not there, he will come under 10% in that case, isn't it?
No,
now
we have to look at differently, sir. It is not that out of 100 people, 90 people get benefited. It could be out of 100 people, 100 got relieved from the condition in 2 days, 90 got relieved from the condition in 2 days, and 10 got relieved from the condition in 10 days. So efficacy for me that works instantaneously, it might not be for you. You might take a longer period of time to work for the drug to work on you. So it's not that 0% it will not work on you. It will work on you, but the amount, duration of the time, the total overall efficacy might be low on you. It's not that it useless for you.
No, it's all right, but that means that drug is effective on 100%. Maybe that some people take more time, but it is effective on all 100%. Is that the condition before it is approved?
Yeah. So the effectiveness, the process of effectiveness could be person to person specific, but yes, the drug, once it is approved for particular condition, it will have certain level of effect on that condition.
All 100%.
Or 100%. Is it related to any particular issue that you're facing, sir?
No, it is not related. What I wanted to know is that the 10% people or 5% or even 1%, supposing it is not effective. So what happens to those persons? Because something is, we are treating the people thinking that it is 100% effective. On 1%, even 1%, half percent, whatever you consider it. If it is not effective, that means there are persons on whom some drugs are not effective.
Then we
And
switch to the other alternate drugs, sir.
then they switch to other alternative drug. So what I mean is that there are people in the population, there are different type of people who will say, for example, as diabetic, जो एक बात बनी है, diabetics always diabetic, the hypertensive always hypertensive. Are there no exceptions to this?
No, diabetes is diagnosed when your body doesn't produce enough insulin. It has nothing to do with drugs.
Yes, that's right. But exceptions, how a doctor takes into consideration the exception, this is what I want to say. Whether it is drug, whether it is disease.
No, it's your body's. So if I have to diagnose somebody with a particular condition, I need to test that person for that particular condition. If the tests say that you are deficient in certain thing, then you definitely have that condition. Like somebody has thyroid problem, hypothyroidism. I have to test somebody's thyroid hormone. Thyroid hormone is low consistently. I label him hypothyroidism. If somebody's insulin levels are low in the body. So in diabetes, we check two things. We check blood sugar levels. We also check insulin levels. If insulin level is low, blood sugar levels are high, I'll label you as diabetic. So it is not about drugs. So now it comes, the drug part comes that I have like 5 choices of drugs to give it to you. I gave you one drug, it has no effect on you, some for whatever reason. That means that particular drug is not good for you. Then I switch to another drug that might work for you, but you will still remain diabetic because your body is not producing enough insulin. Not that particular drug is not working for you.
That can I come back on what we've been discussing?
Yeah, please.
I think no doctor is a magician; he's a technician. So it's your own immune system. After you give a drug, how it reacts. In some people whose immune system is strong, you will get cured. If his immune system is not good enough, no drug can cure you. I mean, my concept would be to build up your immune system. Medicines actually don't cure you. They relieve your pain a little, your sensation of bearing the pain. So body को अगर मजबूत बना रहे हो, वैसे तो भगवान के हाथ में है. So
absolutely, we have to think about the God-given immunity, the God-given defense mechanism that we have. That decreases over age. That is a natural phenomena. What we can do is just support it, reinforce it. Another thing that Surendraji we discussed yesterday over phone. You want to ask that?
Regarding?
That why doctors are biased towards diabetes.
Yes, that is what I am saying. That say hypertension, for example, I am not having this hypertension now since last 2 months. I am not taking any medicine. So whether it is because of my lifestyle or something natural has happened, I don't know, because now I am not taking medicine. So will I still be treated if it continues, say, another 5 years, 10 years? So after 10 years also, will I be considered a hypertensive?
Yeah,
Because
no.
normally doctors do consider, this is my point, as you are saying, I am coming to that point, that doctors will always, they write, I'm just repeating what I said yesterday for the benefit of others, that I got admitted into a hospital, and since I was diabetic, hypertensive, senior citizen, and my eyes were also defective. So all 4 or 5 tags were put on my right arm. And on the door it was written, this very sensitive, I mean, whatever word they wrote. So any doctor who used to enter my room, any nurse who used to enter my room, they were so cautious that they told me that you don't even get down from your bed. Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So you should not get down from your bed. At least you cannot walk, forget about walking. Even if you have to go to toilet, you have give us a ring, call us, will accompany you. I mean, why they become so, I told them, requested them, Baba, I have been walking 5 kilometers till yesterday, and you are telling me to stop all the activities. And they reduced my food also. They gave me saltless food, although I was not hypertensive. They were checking me twice, thrice daily. Sugar level, BP, everything was normal. But still they insisted that I am a very serious case. Extra care has to be taken. So I was stopped from walking. I was stopped from everything. And I told you yesterday also, in 7 days, I lost 2.5 kg of weight also. And they generated more tension in me than they cured me. And ultimately, I was admitted there for my heart operation. They also refused my heart surgery. And I went to various doctors in India, abroad, Europe, even to USA. I did not go USA, but I consulted best doctors of USA also. Nobody refused surgery. But these people were so afraid of me that they refused surgery also. Others did not refuse. They were varying opinions. Somebody said some risk, somebody said no risk, somebody said 5% risk, but they were all ready to operate. Here I was even not, they were not even ready to operate on me because I was hypertensive, I was diabetic, I was, all those things. And senior
Very, very
citizen.
unfortunate to hear about your experience, sir. I'll still say that there in India, a lot of good hospitals are there. They're still doing such complicated surgeries. So I would advise you to take another opinion with these people. Coming back to your horrible experience at one such a hospital. So basically, nobody wants that something bad happen to their patient on their watch. Number one thing. So in your case, you're all fit, you maintain yourself very nicely, everything is good. But same I cannot say about my other patient. Have you heard about silent MI, sir? Silent heart attack. That is very much prevalent in diabetic patients.
Mm-hmm.
So a person might not having any symptoms and then suddenly one day collapse. So many a times such cases happens in the hospital. A person is walking maybe because of low sugar, yeah, high sugar, yeah, low BP, yeah, high BP. He just fall from the bed or going to washroom, just slip, and then get another complication. So they want to avoid all that, especially in corporate hospitals, big corporate hospitals where they're charging good amount of money. No, just think the reverse of this happening to you. Just think that somebody who actually has some issues, unlike you're fit. Somebody who actually has issue and he goes to hospital and he doesn't get cared at all. Nobody put him on a
Exactly.
serious
Here I
watch.
would like to stop you for a moment. Exactly this thing I want to point out.
Yeah.
That doctors, should they not be able to differentiate between these two types of persons? As you have said, somebody may be having these issues. You are not having these issues.
How will you differentiate, sir?
Differentiate means they are taking readings.
Yeah.
They have got my history.
Yeah.
They have got my angiography, which is clear.
Yeah.
All those things are there.
Yeah.
Can't they differentiate? When I'm telling them I have been walking till yesterday 5 kilometers.
Yeah.
I have
So
keeping
you
this.
need to understand, sir, these are not your family doctors. These are doctors you're meeting for some specialized purpose.
Reports are there to tell that.
Yeah. But they go with the overall study. They'll not individualize, specify for you. The care plan will be a specific care plan for that particular.
Tell me, doctor, one thing. If I have maintained sugar for last 20 years and the records are there, is there a chance that I'll go for I'll have some stroke or something like that because of diabetes? I'm not talking about other things. Because of diabetes.
Not because of diabetes, but if you're 70, you are getting admitted in the hospital, I'll take all the precautions, sir. So you are in the hospital for not more than 5-6 days for any big operations, right? Even if it's a bypass surgery, you'll be discharged in a week. Those are the norms in cardiac surgery. So for 6 days, for those 6 days when you're with me in a hospital and I'm your treating consultant, I will take every possible measure to make sure that you don't end up with any other problem other than what you have been admitted for.
To the extent that it will have some adverse effect on the patient.
Usually, if you so you have to understand, sir, you are in a hospital in a closed setup,
Psychology of the patient.
monitored setup. they'll give you food 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. They'll ask you not to walk without supervision. They'll ask you not to do certain activities without supervision because they have supervision for that. They can assist you with that. So I would just request you just to go with the facilities.
No, definitely I did go with their. That is why I lost. Otherwise, I could have come out of the hospital, taken discharge. No, I didn't do that. I went as per their advice, but I was psychologically depressed. What I am going through this. Patients का थोड़ा सा जो psychology होती है, उसको भी तो I think it is important, particularly at these times, psychology of the patient is also important.
How about your experience at other hospitals, sir?
Well, different places, different. See, some people are interested in money. Somehow they want to operate. Others are very honest people. Particularly in UK, people were very honest. They told everything. And
there is your answer, sir. It's not true for at all the hospitals. It is not true for all the doctors. So
no, not for all.
One bad experience. Don't.
No, I am not generalizing, but I don't want to say I have got no comments to make against the doctors in general.
Yeah.
But just I wanted to discuss with you that why.
Yeah, I understand, sir. Maybe that particular doctor have sensed, have diagnosed, or have suspected something. That is why he has ordered those things to you. Maybe if you go to another specialist, he'll not suspect all of those things.
No, my question to you was that particularly hypertension, maybe diabetes, you may be up to some extent, you may be right. Although I have maintained my sugar levels, as I told you, it has never, the HbA1c has never gone above 6.6. Rather, it comes down to 5.9 to 6.6. It has varied between that. So, but that apart, maybe that I am one exception, others may not be doing that. I don't know. I am not a medical person. But about hypertension, it depends on so many factors, as you have taught us. So if those factors are changed or removed or adjusted, can a man become non-hypertensive, or a level has to be stuck to him permanently that he is hypertensive?
There are high tendency that you might end up with high blood pressures. So that is why you've been labeled as hypertension. That means you previously your blood sugars were high and you're doing some particular management to keep it under control. If you remove those management, if you remove those processes, your blood sugar level will increase again. So that is for the information to the medical staff and the doctor that certain things has happened to you previously. And the other important thing you need to understand that if I write on your prescription that known case of hypertension, known case of diabetes, although you are doing very well in maintaining those parameters, I'm writing it so that I will the medicine that I'm going to prescribe you will not interfere in these conditions. So certain BP medicines are there which are very specific to diabetic patients. So if I prescribe you a BP medicine in a particular group, it will not only take care of your hypertension, but it will also protect your kidneys. If at all any damage going to happen to the kidneys for diabetes, with diabetes. So it gives me an idea to what extent and what different medicine I have option to prescribe to you. I'll not give you a generic medicine for BP. I'll also make sure that you're taking BP medicine. If at all one day your diabetes goes worse, it will not affect that. So that is one reason I need to know your history. And also the other reason is that if I'm a specialist and and many times patient don't come back, sir. It's a harsh reality, right? So patient for diabetes, especially in case of diabetes, patient comes after 2 years, 3 years. They don't come to you every day. I mean, every routine checkup date. So I have to be extra cautious in that case. I'll prescribe you all sort of medicine. I'll take care of your hypertension then also. I'll take care of certain things that might affect your heart in future. So I might prescribe you cholesterol medicine and blood thinning medicine as well. Although you might not have any heart symptoms, but since I know that you might not take care of yourself, I'll just prescribe it as well. So I would say that it is the overall response of the patient that makes a doctor's attitude to be like that. So in US, the response is totally different. It's honest response. I tell you do this thing, you do. If you don't do, I'll be very honest with you. Things will happen to you and insurance will not take care of it. So that is why the honesty level between patient doctor is high in US and UK and Europe countries than in India. See, the impression is different. Patient's impression of doctor is different, and doctor's impression of patient is different. So I'll, in my capacity, take care of everything so that I don't end up in a bad case. So many times,
I don't blame doctors also in India, as you have said. You are right that they are more honest in the sense that they don't bother about money at least. But one more thing is there, doctors here, to be very fair to the Indian doctors, doctors here are very busy because there is a lot of crowd, there, a lot of patients they have to attend. When I went to UK, I consulted two different doctors, and both the times I was given time. I was there were two or three patients only he was to attend. In one case, only I was the person to be attended to, and both of them gave me 1 hour each,
yes,
separately on separate occasions. 1 hour for consultation,
yes.
and only when I got satisfied, I had no more questions. They asked me two times, any more questions, any more questions. When I said, no, sir, thank you very much, then they got up and accompanied me out of the door also. They were so nice people. This does not happen in India, but for this, I don't blame Indian doctors.
Yes,
My
you're right.
objective is not this, because Indian doctors have number of patients to see.
Do you know exactly what is the patient-doctor ratio in India?
No, I don't know, but I see in the hospitals a crowd here, and I've seen the crowd there in UK also.
But you'll see that in private hospitals still the norm are changing. The doctors are very giving enough time in certain private hospitals. The crowd is not that much. Patient is
I don't
treated
know. I
as
am yet to see. Kindly let me know those hospitals. I would like to see this thing
next
where
time.
there is no crowd.
I would like to accompany you on one of your visit one day. I will not
Okay.
go as a doctor. I'll go as a individual and I'll see and point out what all needs to be improved.
Okay, okay.
And just to come back to that number, 1.3 doctors per 1,000 patients.
Yes,
Right.
that is the.
So 1.3 doctors per 1,000 patients, especially in government hospital. You go to AIMS, Delhi government hospitals. I mean, it is not doctors' fault, but then the brunt of that, the consequences of that, patient has to deal with. Patient has to deal. So ultimately, patient suffers, and that is not good. So even a doctor, good doctor, doesn't want his patient to suffer.
That's
But
right.
maybe for whatever reason it is happening, and it's very unfortunate. Let's hope it improves.
मैंने आपसे इसी मारे कहा था the ABC of doctors, which I wrote to you. That's where it comes in, and also the science and art of medicine.
See, sir, in medicine, exactly you mentioned it's an art.
Absolutely.
So I might be a very excellent diagnostic person. I might just see your report and diagnose you exactly, but I might not be a good communicator.
Correct.
So I'm not able to communicate very nicely to you, and you then end up not taking me seriously.
हम लोग तो बहुत impressed हैं सर जिससे आपने communicate किया. Siddharth, excellent. What are you talking? All my colleagues will say fantastic.
Dr. Siddharth इतना अच्छा से बताते हैं. That is why we are encouraged to ask many questions which are normally not asked. Normally, a patient will not ask questions to doctors like we asked Dr. Siddharth.
सुरेंद्र भाई, आपकी health बहुत अच्छी है. At 83, you are doing so well. We are very proud of you. God bless.
I am not 83. I am 78.
अच्छा, 78. Okay, wonderful.
Every number matters.
Every number matters. तो आप मेरे बराबर हो गए. Right, sir.
Okay. Any other question?
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so I would.
Thank you very much for asking so many questions, embracing question. I am sorry for asking all these questions.
Not at all, sir. For you only, I'm sitting here.
My objective was not to hurt anybody. Not Indian doctors have got a lot of respect also, but because they are busy, so they are not able to pay attention to.
But I would say that, sir, it's not an excuse for any doctor being busy and then not properly treating the patient. Still, it is not acceptable. Patient has all the rights until unless he or she is satisfied. they should not leave doctor's chamber. So patient has to enforce it. In India, it doesn't happen that way. So patient just come and prescription leke chale jate hain. They don't ask enough questions. If you don't ask enough question, I'll not answer your queries. So you,
कई बार तो एनफ क्वेश्चन पूछना थोड़ा उल्टा हो जाता है डॉक्टर साहब. जैसे मैं बोलूंगा कि मुझे डायबिटिक का कंट्रोल में है तो वो बॉदर नहीं करेंगे, वो बोलेंगे मुझे पढ़ाओ मत. I have even heard these words from some doctor. You are not a doctor.
You are experienced enough. You know how to pose a question. So person has to answer it. Okay, sir. So I request you give me more feedbacks on topics that we need to discuss. So please send a message or mail, however you can.
कल मैंने रिक्वेस्ट किया था आपसे 2 टॉपिक बताए थे, और भी कोई आए तो दूसरे लोग भी बता सकते हैं. 2 टॉपिक बताए थे. फिर
इन वाला ले ले.
डॉक्टर साहब एक चीज मैं बताना चाहता था. आजकल के एनवायरनमेंट में इनफर्टिलिटी रेट जो है थोड़ा बढ़ता जा रहा है, तो उसके ऊपर इनफर्टिलिटी के ऊपर कैन यू प्रोबेबली हैव ए टॉक ऑन दिस. जो हमने अभी अपने एग्जाम पे बच्चे देखते हैं, बच्चे से बच्चे देखते हैं, तो ये प्रॉब्लम एक तो लेट मैरिजेस हो रही हैं, उसके बाद कंसीव नहीं हो रहा, और रनिंग अराउंड हियर एंड देयर पीपल विद नो चाइल्ड और समथिंग. तो ये थोड़ा सा अगर सब्जेक्ट इन केस यू कुड टेक इट ओवर.
I'll take definitely. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right, sir.
Thank you all.
All of you have a good day. Enjoy your evening.
Thank you, sir.
Bye, sir.
Thank you, sir.